And we arrived at the fourth and final washout, which again I just kind of kept my speed up and did the best I could to stay on the pegs and make it through clean.
I got 3 batteries, so probably 3 hours worth. I'm about halfway through what I got.
Here came our fearless leader on the Husky, with a very minor spill. Nevertheless, we signaled back to the guys to hold off and set to work riding the bike and backing it up.
You go first? Yep. Okay. Should be good.
Nicely done.
Straight line. Just keep up the momentum when you go down. You'll ride right out. Just keep up your speed, you'll get right out. Beauty.
And with everyone safely across, we continued on. Now this was the last little bit of some mid-June snow that had been blocking the path previous weeks, but thankfully the ruts had melted, so we didn't end up having to slog the bikes through any major snow. Now here the country opened up and we really started carrying some speed. This was just absolutely beautiful riding. This is one of the things that I look forward to most on an adventure ride, is when the terrain clears and you can just carry some speed. Now the unfortunate thing with a high rate of speed is that it carries a significant amount of danger on the big bikes, as we would soon find out. with that, I was on my way. Now, I came into this water crossing way too hot, but there was no way I was slowing down before I hit it, so I kind of just held onto the bars and let it coast over. Now after about 10 or 15 minutes of riding, we stopped up ahead and began to realize that we were missing a few members of our group. Now after waiting for a little bit with no sign of them, I ended up turning around to scout and see if I could find out what had happened. And after a short while, I came across a wounded KLR 650 being towed by a Austrian tow truck. Now, at this point, I had no idea what the situation was or what kind of mechanical issue we had encountered, so we stopped ahead to assess the damage.
That's a hole and a half. Oh yeah, shit. That's a beauty. Well, you know what? That's not fixable, you guys. Yeah, we're not. There's not an AJB weld in the world that'll fix this. Are you serious? You better have a closer look at that. Oh no. That's fucked. You can put my finger right through to the crankcase. Oh yeah. Yeah. And you know how much metal's in there now either too. Yeah. That is a classic KLR pass. Did you just hit it on? Hey, who's got a camera? I got it right now. Oh, okay, good. That's not fixable, John. Is there anything we can patch it with? You would need wire, JB weld. It is patchable, but it is. I patched a hole about that big about 2 years ago on a Husky. Guy busted his chain. You know what? We whittle some wood. We should put a cork in. Yeah. Gasoline's pissing out right now. Is there a petcock on this thing, or we need to get the gas and we need to wipe all that down? Well, we need some of that gas. Here, let's. We need the gas. Get a rag under there. Who's got a rag?
And while we were starting with that problem, Ron pulled me aside to let me know that he'd picked up a nail in his HP2, which, given the state of the KLR, seemed like the least of our worries. Now, we debated patching the hole in the bottom of the KLR for a time, but after a few minutes we started to realize that would be kind of a hopeless endeavor, so we recommissioned the Austrian tow truck and set to work getting the KLR back to civilization. Now, this is the foot peg to foot peg tow method. A lot of people will tout the handlebar to handlebar towing method, but I like this way because it keeps the center of gravity low and you do feel like you have a lot more control over the bike. Being towed on a motorcycle is never a confidence-inspiring experience. After what felt like a considerable distance, we started to see signs that we were arriving back in civilization. And pretty soon we had arrived in Boston Bar. Now, we set to work trying to find a place to stow the wounded KLR, and get a greasy burger, because that was really seeming like an appropriate course of action right now. Anyways, after a nice greasy burger and finding some storage for our wounded KLR, myself and W. Ron on the BMW HP2 made our way back home. Now this is one of the most scenic street rides I think I've ever been on. I would highly recommend the Highway 1 stretch between Hope and Boston Bar to anyone on any bike who's looking for a nice day ride. Now if you like this video and you want to see more, I encourage you to subscribe. The season is young and I'm sure there will be many more of these to come. And if you have any questions about the ride, the route we took, or the bikes we run, let me know and I'll answer them as best I can.